Good morning, everybody. My name is Megan Butler, and I'm an Innovation Associate with the Jewish Healthcare Foundation and a part of the Liftoff PGH team. This morning, we have a really great session planned today. It is a case study on hashtag #MyWishForMoms, which gives voice to postpartum depression. We're joined today by our great speaker, Janelle Merrick, who is a brand strategy manager for Highmark Health. Ms. Merrick led the hashtag #MyWishForMoms, gives voice to postpartum depression, which is an initiative created to help break the stigma around postpartum depression and anxiety in collaboration with model and cookbook author Chrissy Teigen. So we're going to hear a little bit more from Janelle today about that work and AHN's great work on postpartum depression. Over 500,000 women suffer annually, and most do so in silence and self-doubt. So this initiative is really focused on trying to give more awareness to that issue. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to our speaker for today, Janelle. So Janelle, feel free to get started whenever you're ready.
Hi, everybody. First off, I do have a little bit of a tickle in my throat, so I have a throat lozenge in my mouth, just so everybody knows if I take a little pause to cough, that's why. Let me share my screen. Okay. So thank you, Liftoff PGH and the Jewish Healthcare Foundation very much for having me. I'm very excited to be here. Allegheny Health Network, we are all about working hard to create a remarkable health experience, freeing people to be their best. And we are very proud and thankful for our health system with 13 hospitals, 19,000 team members, over 2,000 volunteers, and 1 million patients. We're proud to be a part of Western Pennsylvania. So we set out to break the #1 complication of pregnancy. We set out to break the silence around that, postpartum depression. And we have created an award-winning campaign with millions of engagements, a global reach around this unique program we offer at Allegheny Health Network. So today I want to talk about how to tap into the power of social media and celebrity endorsement for social cause. Our campaign journey started when we filmed a TV spot around AHN women. We like to call it the Green Sofa series. It's a spot I'd like to show you right now.
Really hard. I became really sad. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't even want to take care of my kid, you know, and that was so embarrassing for me.
I'm here, unfortunately, because my wife did not survive her battle with postpartum depression.
Very sorry.
To watch something you love just completely, literally just fall apart and unravel.
I know that has to be hard.
That's why I do what I do, and that's why I work with AHN and Highmark, and we're building a safe place for new moms so that other moms like you can find their joy.
When I did finally call, I mean, my heart was beating a mile a minute. You know, I was so nervous. Then they made me an appointment with my therapist, who is Courtney. Honestly, I mean, she saved my life.
Hope for families struggling with postpartum depression is at Allegheny Health Network.
So we sat in the back watching this being filmed. We had our headphones on, like, you know, I have my headphone on now. And we were watching it come through the monitor. And we all sat back there and we were crying. I mean, quite honestly, we were kind of ugly crying. Mascara running down our faces. It was a very emotional film shoot. And we had the realization that this isn't advertising. This was much bigger than that. This was a public service announcement. This was a story that really needed to be told, and a much bigger message that needed to be heard. And this is what started us down the path of #MyWishForMoms. The timing was right. We were at a rare moment. It was the start of 2019. The Me Too movement and women's movement was going on. There was more open dialogue on mental health. Even celebrities were talking about it more. Britney Spears, I love Britney Spears. Cardi B, Adele, they were talking about their struggles with mental health. There was a new prescription drug approved by the FDA for postpartum depression. We had just opened our new Women's Behavioral Health Center at AHN West Penn, the best in the region and one of only a few nationwide. And then May was going to be coming up, and that May is Maternal Mental Health Month. So it was just kind of a lot of very natural moments in time that were stacking up in our behalf. This was the first time that AHN was going to attempt something that was around social cause. So there was a couple things that we needed to make sure that we got right. One, it needed to be authentic. The right cause to fit the brand, and our brand is very purpose-driven, so this was important. After all, our vision is a world where everyone embraces health. Two, it needed to be cause first. Appointments are not our driver. It was not our driver of this campaign. Break even was okay. You know, we were excited when we got earned media from this. That was so exciting. You know, this was really about the brand and what the brand stood for and what we believe in. Three, positive social impact. Brands are more likely to earn loyalty and trust, especially among millennials, when they understand why we do what we're doing. So authenticity, cause first, positive social impact. We knew if we got those three things right, we were going to be doing a great job. So what did we care about? We believe so strongly in the emotional health of moms, we built a center for it at AHN West Penn. Designed with mother and baby in mind, it was a new model of care when we opened up. The care model has grown so much across the country. Dr. Hamitsky says, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, and that has surely helped a lot of moms across the country because there's been a lot more centers that have opened up similar to ours since we opened ours. We have an intensive outpatient program, 3 days a week, 3 hours a day, where moms bring their babies in and learn different techniques like bonding techniques, stress relief, infant massage. They do art therapy, they do baby wearing. We have a kitchen there where community partners come in and can teach moms and their families how to create healthy meals, which is obviously very important. Nutrition is very important. And then a huge barrier to care. Imagine if this is your second child or your third child, and you don't have someone to watch those children, but you need to come in and get the care that you need. We have free childcare, so you can bring in those children and bring in your child, obviously, that you need to get the care with, and that child care is taken care of for you. So it's hugely important to make sure you get the care. So, but what's the problem we're trying to solve? Comes mental health, comes stigma, and there's a huge stigma around mental health. And on top of that, the intense pressure of being a mom. I know, I'm a mom of two. It's really hard. I'm not gonna kid anybody and say it's easy. It is hard to be a mom. And then on top of that, add on the postpartum depression and anxiety. That is a lot to handle. And then moms, many women suffer in silence, which only makes it worse. And then they may downplay it and call it the baby blues. But if you're 2 months in, it's not the baby blues anymore. It's far beyond that. And then they isolate themselves and think it's only them. And then they're making themselves feel so alone, which just makes it worse even more. So what ways can we break stigma? What can we do about this? Let's talk some facts. 1 in 7 mothers experience postpartum depression each year. 1 in 7. That's over 500,000 moms each year. That's twice as many as breast cancer. Twice as many as breast cancer. That is a lot. But only 15% get help. 15%. That is so low. We need to continue to affect that change. And it's also a family issue, not just a mom issue. This is a family issue. You know, I've had the opportunity and the privilege to be able to meet a lot of patients and become friends with them. And some of my friends have told me, and one in particular have told me that her daughter has told her she doesn't want to have a baby because she just decided that she saw what postpartum depression did to her mom. So she's decided she doesn't want to have a baby anymore, which I think is just so horribly sad. But you can see the ripple impact on the family from what the mom has went through. So this is a family issue. It's a family problem, not just a mother problem. So what's another way to break the stigma? Well, what did we decide to do? We decided to flip the script on social media. So we said, okay, all right, we see you social. What can we do? So sometimes in social media, especially Instagram, you see those perfectly beautiful family pictures. Not my Instagram. We don't have any of those. But you see those perfectly beautiful family pictures of the mom with the kid with the little Easter Bunny outfit and the perfectly polished husband and the perfectly polished brother or something. Um, you know, so you see those beautiful photos. And then, you know, if you're already struggling as a mom, you're already feeling low self-esteem. This is just going to compound those issues of the feelings of inadequacy. So we said, okay, well, what can we do? How can we overcome that that feeling, that the negativity that you're already feeling if you're struggling with postpartum depression or anxiety? So we said, okay, let's flip the script here. Let's really create a rallying cry for moms from other moms. So we said, all right, what's the premise here? So we said, okay, if you struggled, if you after you had your child, you know, and then you figured out how to kind of overcome that, you don't want another mom to struggle too. If you've solved it, you don't want that mom to struggle too. So what advice would you give them? So that was really the birth of My Wish for Moms. So it was all about doing it for other moms. Let's get the positivity going. Let's get the rallying cry. So if you struggled after you had your child, let's give that advice to a new mom so they don't have to struggle too. Sounds easy? Well, it caught on and a lot of people jumped in and shared their stories. And you know what else they shared? They shared those imperfect pictures of themselves without fear of stigma, and it was amazing. A couple slides ago, I showed you there was 3 pictures of women up that they were crying and they had their heads buried in their hands. Those were real pictures from our campaign. They were real, they were raw. And those women shared those out in Instagram with the hashtag #MyWishForMoms, and they shared them proudly. And those women are amazing. And all the women that participated in this campaign are amazing. And I'll share some more stories later. Another way to break stigma, celebrity. Because if it can happen to a celebrity, it can happen to anybody. We were talking and thinking through a couple different celebrities before we landed on Chrissy Teigen. We considered Serena Williams. We considered Amy Poehler, both of which suffered with postpartum depression. Amy very rarely talked about it. I think she might have talked about it in like one interview. So she was very quiet about her struggles. But we ultimately landed on Chrissy Teigen. So if you don't know Chrissy Teigen, she's a Sports Illustrated supermodel. She's a New York Times bestselling author. She's obviously a social influencer. But the thing that gravitated us mostly to her is her authenticity. Remember in the beginning, I said there was 3 things we had to get right. We needed to be authentic, we needed to be cause first, and we needed to have a positive social impact. So she nailed that first one right off the bat. She is so authentic. She's very true to herself. She also has a personal connection to postpartum depression. She suffered after she gave birth to her daughter, Luna. and she is real. She is a real person. So yes, she's a supermodel. She's gorgeous. But if she can suffer from postpartum depression, others can too. Mental health does not discriminate. And she is very open about talking about her struggles then and now. She is so relatable as a mother, and she really appeals to our target audience. You know, back when we launched, she had 24 million plus Instagram followers then. Now she has over 33 million Instagram followers. I mean, her reach and her superpower in Instagram world just keeps growing. Now, there were some risks that we talked about as well. I mean, we very carefully made this decision, and there's some political things that she likes to talk about too, which we talked about quite extensively. But we ultimately made the decision to go with Chrissy, and we were very happy that we did. So My Wish for Moms launched on May 2nd on the Today Show. And she announced the project, and she asked everyone to go share their stories on Today. And we were picked up by a bunch of different media outlets. Thank you very much to all of our local news partners for being so positive and for helping us out and covering the story so extensively. We appreciate that so much. We were also picked up by Today.com, Romper, Cosmo, Glamour, Parents, Pop Sugar, The Bump, People, even the United Nations Twitter account picked us up. One of the things that is somewhat different in kind of in our space, but something that is very important to us, and we take a lot of pride in, is the fact that we had a team of Asian subject matter experts engaged directly and in real time, reading every single post, reply, and comment, addressing each with an individualized response. Because given the nature and the personal sensitivity of each of these posts, we needed to make sure that every single post or comment was read and taken care of, because if someone needed care, we had the responsibility to get them that care, and that was very important, and we take that responsibility seriously. So besides the awareness and the support, we also want to make sure we gave people resources that they needed. So we wrote a book called The Fourth Trimester, Time to Take Care of Mom. It's available on mywishformoms.org, and it's also available in paper copy as well. We expanded our trimester book, is what we call it, the trimester book. But it's also our pregnancy guide that we hand out to our patients. We added a whole fourth trimester guide that has nutrition information and things like that for after delivery, but it also has a ton of emotional health information on postpartum depression, anxiety, and postpartum bipolar disorder. So it has a ton of really excellent information there as well. We also created a video. So at discharge from our hospitals, families watch a video on maternal mental health so they know the signs and the symptoms when they're leaving. We know it saved lives because people have told us. You know, it takes about 7 different ways to hear a message and absorb it. And we wanted to make sure that we are giving people the message as many different ways as we can, because this message is so important that we want to make sure that people can have it absorbed as much as possible. We also partnered with Postpartum Support International during the campaign, and if somebody called us from out of the state that we couldn't help support, that we could help direct them to a resource where they needed to get help. So Chrissy is awesome. Love her. She's so lovely. But we also wanted to make sure that we were harnessing some more community building power of social media. So we started an influencer program. And basically, we partnered up with some other women that were already talking about this topic and had an other sizable list of social influencers. So to continue the conversation and build on the momentum that we had created, we hosted a 2-day summit in Pittsburgh. We invited 36 guests from across the country, moms, partners, mental health advocates, social influencers, healthcare professionals. We talked about topics like body positivity, the role of partners in the community, breaking the medication and therapy stigma, maternal loss. We did some more art therapy. I actually still have my little picture. I have it in my windowsill. I love it so much. Yoga and art educational sessions. This gave the campaign a boost 90 days after we launched. It generated over 219 engagements over this 2-day summit. The summit was absolutely amazing. I wish so many more people could have been there. It was a life-changing event for me. And quite honestly, it's made me friends for life in the space. So it's an absolutely amazing experience. We created a movement, one of the fastest growing hashtag communities driven by a brand. We trended on Twitter on launch day in the US. Within week 1, postpartum searches trended on Google with no other major news going on. Our vision is a world where everyone embraces health. We had interactions from 130 countries in every state, plus DC. Can't forget DC. We had 19 million interactions online and over 2.4 million engagements. And the silver lining, even though remember it was not our goal, but we more than doubled the number of moms treated at AHN. In October, we were honored with 3 US Effie Awards, gold, silver, and bronze. So we got the medal sweep for groundbreaking, disruptive, creative, and amazing core insight, remarkable business results. It's just amazing. But we aren't out to beat the competition. We are truly obsessed about advancing the cause and creating a safe place to share stories. This is really why the campaign got such great results, because we created that safe place. And like I said before, it really wasn't our creative, it was these women. It was their words, personal and unfiltered, inspired. Many women shared their story for the first time. Moms telling us what they wanted their daughters to know. Daughters telling us what they wish their moms knew. And there were some common themes that came out. Like being a mom is hard, questioning every decision you make, wondering what's normal. Knowing I'm not alone helps. It's okay to not be okay. I've heard this phrase so many times since this campaign. It's unreal. I wish I could have been healthier, mentally stable enough, less depressed, so I could be the mother I thought I would be. You're not alone. What I didn't know was the extreme, sometimes crippling anxiety and depression I would feel. Help is available. This woman shared her story and even her planning of her suicide. She writes, "My life matters, yours does too. I hope you choose to fight. Some days will be harder than others. Ask for help." My wish for moms, I want you to live and live fully, joyfully. I want to close with one more story. Stephen was the spark that ignited our postpartum depression center, based on the tragedy of losing his wife, Alexis Joy. Just 6 weeks after the birth of Adriana, their baby girl, Alexis became overwhelmed by the postpartum depression she couldn't control, and she took her life. Stephen's wish for moms, that no moms feel like their loved ones are better off without them here, that no moms feel like they are a burden. It's a movement, but it's not only our movement. It belongs to the moms and to the families. We're proud to know we started a global movement that is reducing the stigma of postpartum depression. Let's keep the conversation going.
Hi guys, I'm here at the GH talking about my wish for moms. Use the hashtag my wish for moms. I had really changed. I mean, it wasn't just being tired. It was being really, really sad and hard on yourself and really down on yourself. And it can be really tough. So we're encouraging everyone to share their stories. And we're using the hashtag my wish for moms, and everyone can share. Just open up the dialogue, open up the discussion with it so there's no stigma.
My wish for moms is that we become so comfortable in where we are that we don't care about sharing the truth.
I felt completely robbed of her first 3 months of life emotionally. Like it was taken from me, stripped.
Nobody prepared me for the possibility of postpartum.
Yeah. I mean, it's just not talked about.
Come up like, do you think that this is a possibility? You know, you're experiencing a lot of anxiety. You should be prepared for this.
It is as real as a broken leg. It is asking somebody with a broken leg to go run a mile. And you can't.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Great. Thank you so much, Janelle, for sharing the great work that AHN has done with the hashtag My Wish for Moms initiative. And thank you for sharing some of those personal stories.
Absolutely.
Well, if anybody does have questions, we'd encourage you to go ahead and post them in the chat box, and we'd be happy to share some of those with Janelle. We do have about 15 minutes left for Q&A. But I'll go ahead and get us kicked off with a question that I have. I think one of the hardest parts of building a movement, especially a movement around something based in healthcare, is trying to get people to engage in the movement who haven't personally experienced that issue. And based on the numbers that we saw in your presentation and the number of social interactions that you've received through this initiative, it really seems like you've reached not only people who have experienced this directly, but those who haven't experienced it and maybe even came in with really limited knowledge about postpartum depression.
Yep.
So do you have any recommendations for folks who are interested in building campaigns or building movements about how they can use strategies to help engage people who might not have a lot of awareness about the issue that you're working on, or who may just not have a personal connection to that issue?
Yeah, what we tried to do was to try to keep it not feel exclusive that you needed to have gone through this particular disease to help, right? So we kept it broad that if there was an overall issue, like if there was something that you went through as a new mom that you wanted a new mom to know, to share it. And a lot of moms jumped in and said that I didn't have postpartum depression, but I experienced this, this, and this, or that they didn't even realize that they had experienced a longer level of sadness than they thought. So I think it's to make it as welcoming as possible, and not to make it feel like it's so narrow that that it feels too exclusive, I guess is the way to say it. Um, I think the other thing that made what we did so welcoming was that it felt like a rallying cry, and I think that's what drew people in. I think Chrissy was definitely a help with it, but obviously every campaign can't have a social media influencer. So I think some of the other things that we've done since then with um, even with the stay home team initiatives and things that we've done with that, those have been about feeling like a rallying cry. So I feel like if you can create some camaraderie with it, um, that can help be successful as well.
That's great. And I know you also mentioned the word stigma a few times in your presentation.
Yes.
That's an additional challenge when talking about postpartum depression, is
Yeah.
really this great stigma surrounding it, as well as surrounding the conversation of mental health in general. So can you talk a bit more about that role of stigma and kind of some of the strategies that your team took to try and overcome that stigma?
Yes. So stigma is unfortunately, the biggest thing that is really stigma is really the biggest thing that is fighting against mental health in so many ways. And I think what we've had the opportunity, and just even since the campaign, there's been so many things that have come out talking more and more about mental health that is just literally helping it on the daily basis, the more people that are talking about it. um, but yeah, I think overall education, like we talked about the facts, making sure people really understand the amount of people that do struggle with mental health, because I think that's an eye opener. Once I saw the data on twice as many as breast cancer, that was a jaw dropping fact to me. I did not even know that when we started this whole initiative, and I thought, wow. Nothing against breast cancer, but breast cancer gets so much publicity, and you would think that um, you just wouldn't even think that postpartum depression affected twice as many. Like it's just so amazing, and we've done so much work for breast cancer, and it's become such a normal, commonplace thing around mammograms and getting your yearly. Now I'm over 40, I have to get my yearly mammogram. You don't think about how postpartum depression, you don't have the same kind of treatment protocols and things like that. Like it's just not even commonplace like that. It's not even thought of in the same way. So things like that. Um, Obviously education, we talk about with Lift Off Pittsburgh, the big ideas and all of these things. I mean, what I would love if I could have anything is that, our discharge video that we created, I would love that to be in every hospital in the state. I mean, wouldn't that be amazing that the education that we can create and just have all moms and across the state, all families across the state have that education there to be watching, just like the SIDS videos. Um, have that available for everybody, that everybody is more aware of what's going on. I mean, some of the stigma is just absent of knowledge. That doesn't help, right? Because some of it is just lack of awareness causes worse stigma because you just don't know, right? So even just adding in more of that would help cause and reduce some of the stigma. And I mean, I think we have to be thankful for all of the people that have come out since this point and raised their hand and have said, I have mental health issues. Even additional celebrities like Michael Phelps and all things like that, like people that have come out and just raised their hands and have been brave enough to say that I have mental health issues and I've struggled with them, and I'm okay with people knowing that because I want to help other people.
No, that's great. And I think that's a great point, that education can really play a large role in helping to break the stigma as well. We do have a question in chat here from one of our attendees today.
Yeah.
The question is, social media can be a wonderful but also a risky space for people to share personal stories.
Yep.
How did you navigate this during your campaign? It's great that you had experts responding to comments. And how did you manage any negative responses from people on social media?
Well, so going into the campaign, we had prepared a document of just like all of the what ifs kind of document. What if this happens, this, just to be prepared and have it all thought through. Going into the campaign, we had, if it got very bad, we had doctors on call if we needed to call any of our doctors in, if it got to that point. Any negative comments, we have our social media protocol for negative comments, which, you know, unfortunately we get negative comments just like anybody across the country. Business would get negative comments. So we handle those with our normal protocols that we have. You know, I was part of the subject matter expert team that was responding. It was emotionally rewarding. It was also emotionally exhausting at the same point, because you know that what you're doing is so good for people, and what you needed to make sure that you are responding and taking care of everybody. I can see how nurses and doctors can get so tired, and I was only doing it for a very short period of time. I can imagine how much nurses and doctors go through now on a daily basis, and I did it for like a little bit of time, and it was very nothing compared to what the doctors and nurses go through. They have so much respect from me for what our clinical teams do, and I literally did none of it. but they have mad props from me.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Janelle. I want to say thank you once again to Janelle and to AHN and Highmark for bringing this great panel together today to talk a little bit more about the hashtag My Wish for Moms initiative. I did want to give a sneak peek. We have a couple more programs happening today and early next week as a part of Liftoff PGH. At 12:15 today, Morgan Overton from the Jewish Healthcare Foundation's WHAM Global team is going to host a lunchpad session where you can eat lunch and interact with other attendees. She'll be talking about racial equity and how to engage in advocacy efforts to advance social change. And then we hope that everybody joins us back for Liftoff PGH next week as well. As everybody hopefully knows, Tuesday, December 15th is going to be our live full day broadcast. It's going to be absolutely jam-packed with a number of great keynote speakers and other presentations. And then Wednesday the 16th is the final day of Liftoff PGH, and that day is going to be focused on interactive workshops that folks can take a part of. So if you've been inspired by any of the sessions you've joined us for, we really hope to see you for those 2 days next week. So thank you again, Janelle, for joining us today, and I hope everybody has a great rest of your day.